Let the sun shine on them each and every day. Between the weathered crosses, silently I will stand.
For Vina Trowsdale, reading this poem brings her back to downtown Montreal, June 8, 1943. Where at only 21 years old, she made the bold decision to enlist in the Royal Canadian Air Force.
I was going to buy a new spring coat, and I went out to buy this coat, and it needed adjustment or something. So I thought, oh, rather than do that, I went to the recruiting office and signed up.
With a shortage of manpower at that time, Trowsdale became part of the first wave of women to enlist.
Everyone was joining up, not the girls so much, but I just felt I wanted to travel, and that way my way would be paid. I couldn't afford to travel very much on my own.
Shortly after enlisting, Trowsdale moved back home to Gaspé, Quebec to be with her family. Home for only 1 week, when a letter from the Royal Canadian Air Force came in stating she was needed for training in Rockcliffe, Ontario.
Just the fact that you were leaving home and you didn't know really how long you'd be away. And I never did live back in Gaspé again afterwards.
For the next 5 weeks, she would train among hundreds of other women.
You had to get all your uniforms and all your medicals and all your inoculations, and then of course you had to learn all this parade work, you know, a drill. You spent most of your time on the parade square really learning how to march and drill, and having the sergeants swear at you. all these girls that had to train to do this.
Training was complete, and for Trowsdale, it meant relocating to Halifax, Nova Scotia.
The trade I was in was bomber operations, and there wasn't any course in that trade. You went and worked with people that was already there. It was very secret work. You're sending aircraft out to cover the convoys that were going to Europe. And you had to get all the information about the weather and the times it took the plane to go out and how many hours he had to get out there and get back as the convoy was moving all the time. The weather was very important. We had a big weather board, and that had to be changed every hour for, probably 20 or more stations all over the East Coast, what the weather was like. Because, of course, if it was too bad, they had to be recalled.
It was only when Vina finally put her training to use, taking part in flying operations, that she began to see the full scope of the war. At Bomber Command, she came face to face with reality.
We'd see all the reports and things. We really realized how bad it was. In wartime, you never know what's going to happen the next day. And you don't dwell on those things. You just do your work, really.
On November 9, 1945, Vina Trowsdale was discharged. By that time, she had served not only in Halifax, but Newfoundland as well, and received the highest grouping while there.
I was down in Yarmouth at D-Day, and of course there was all the riots and everything up in Halifax, but I wasn't in there. I was down in Yarmouth. We have a big dance, you know, and a big party to celebrate.
A difficult time for the world, but for Vina, she has so many wonderful memories. As she takes a moment to finish reading the poem,
their battles now have ceased. Life for them has passed.
She thinks of that time in her life where bravery took center stage.
I will gather poppies, as many as I can hold, place them on the lonely graves, and remember comrades as I grow old.
Kayla Garrett, Cogeco North Bay News.